Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are and whenever you may watch this replay. I'll just be honest, the craft showdown last night was amazing. It was a lot of fun, and I was getting tired by the end. And today I'm really struggling. I've only had about 5 hours of sleep, and so just really struggling this morning. And today we're going to talk about stencils versus mask and really understanding the difference between the two. But please forgive me if words are hard today because they really are. I will be going back to bed after this live. I don't know if you've ever stayed up too late and then you had to get up for something the next day and you're just not working too well. So if someone was creating a temperature quilt, as I would call it, this would be like uh a color that would be, like, freezing, like, instead of, like, happy, you're like, "I'm just tired." Anyway, so let's just talk about stencils versus mask. Enough of that. But if you are watching this, please make sure to comment below, even if it's just to say hi or like and subscribe. It really helps with the algorithm, and, um, watching the videos really helps with the views. We were so close of hitting our first goal of, um of the watch hours, and I just really appreciate y'all joining me. So, with that, let's talk about the stencils versus mask. All right. So, let's just start with the obvious. Okay. I often find that one can get confused between stencils versus masks. So, we're going to start with the easy things first. So, I have this Dina Wakley stencil here, right? And mask set. His little head is stuck up on his little body, but you get my point. And that's pretty easy, right? When you take away this part, you're left with the mask. It will block out paint. Okay. If you were to use this part, this is the stencil part. Pretty basic, right? This is another stencil. It blocks out the paint underneath, so that way it reveals a negative space around the positive image. This is the positive. Whereas this is the negative that you're leaving because the positive is right here. Okay, so let's play with that first, and then we'll go to the more controversial. That's well, I should have started this live. Controversial stencils versus mask. So I have some chili prints I did back in the day. Not real cool looking chili prints. And we're just going to go ahead and use our masks and stencils and create something new with them. And if you find that you have jelly prints that maybe you just really don't like those, um, you can always use this technique on those jelly prints. So go ahead and I'm going to roll out. Now, I used this is opaque paint that I'm using, so um, it would definitely you want to use opaque paint in some cases. It depends on what you're trying to go for. Now we're going to use a mask, right? What we're doing is we're blocking out. Oh, this is a better one. We're blocking out this area here with the body of this the mask. Ooh. And then around it will be the green. So let's just go ahead and do that. And I forgot to get extra paper because that's what I do. And so here we changed up our jelly print because we masked out what was underneath, and we used the negative space. We put paint on the negative space. Okay. And I'm just going to pull up this print here, whatever's left over. We still have pan pastels from the other day, but it's not really affecting the print. It's still coming up a little bit, but it's not really affecting the print. Also had some alcohol inks from yesterday's live with the Craft Showdown. So I'm still pulling up some of that as well. It's okay. Now, that's the obvious one, right? There's another obvious one. So let's do another, what I call less desirable print. And so we've turned this less desirable print, and we used the ampersand sign. Oh, and we masked out what was left over, the actual print. Okay. Now, that was easy, right? Real simple. Stencil, mask. Right? These are real simple. Stencil's a mask. Okay. Now, let's ask this question. Is this a stencil or a mask? That's really the question. One could argue that this is a mask because it will block out paint underneath it. One could also argue that this is a stencil. In this case, because the sides are connected, which is your first thought to look at, this is a stencil. Okay. Now, what is this one? Is this a stencil or a mask? And this is really where the issue comes in. Because one could argue that this is a stencil, but it does not have connecting sides. This is kind of floating in space, right? So it is a mask. And it really is the positive and the negative space that it leaves behind. Whereas this here, this is the positive space. So you're going to block out and have paint around in the negative space. But then what I just said, right? This is a stencil. So it's going to block this out and you're going to have paint in a negative space. You see the conundrum there? Is it a stencil or a mask? So when one looks at some stencils, right? Or I'm sorry, when one looks at a stencil, paint passes through and oh, sorry. Paint passes through and it leaves passes through the openings to create design. And a mask is where the paint goes around the shape, preserving its outline. So, that's the difference. But to be quite honest, and I love these mask and stencils, right? Here's how I tell. Does it have an edge around it? If it has an edge around it, it's a stencil. If it's floating in space, it's a mask. But when you get some intricate details like this, it makes you wonder which is which. And here's another one. Is it a stencil or a mask? Now, when you get to these details, and they borderline on stencils versus mask, right? It doesn't really matter in my opinion. It's the same. It creates the same kind of effect. When you're using when you're working with these kinds of stencils versus mask, I think it matters more, right? We showed how the mask blocked what was underneath it, and we colored in the negative space with these two. Okay, so let's play with these, and you comment below what your thoughts are on stencils versus mask. I think this is a mask. To me, it could be a debate, but when you get intricate details like this, is it really a debate? Does it really matter? As long as it creates the desired effect that you want, I don't think it matters. I'm just making sure I'm getting all those nooks and crannies. Okay. Another way of looking at stencils and mask is that mask reveals the background of the previous layer, like we talked about, and stencils reveal the paint in the open areas. So that's another easy way of looking at stencils versus masks. But it can be really, in my mind, it can be definitely really confusing. All right. Let's go with another one. Oh, this might be cool to have that green on there. So let's look at Nice masker. This to me is also a mask. Okay. I didn't pull up the previous layer, so it'll be interesting to see what we get. That's okay. I forgot. We didn't do this one yet. Okay. Oh, let me get 2 on here. Not successfully. Okay. Don't know how successful this one's going to be. This is definitely thicker cardstock. And so it's get it into those nooks and crannies is a little harder. Yeah. It probably didn't work well. We'll find out. Oh, look at that one. It did. Okay. So that's using a mask. And it left the positive shape, right? Let's see if we can pull this. I don't know if there's any, if we can do any pull, or am I going to have to do a cleanup? So we'll find out here in a minute. We'll probably have to do a cleanup. Not too bad. Okay. Now, let's take a look at this one. Stencil or mask. It could be like I said, it's definitely controversial in my opinion, right? One could argue that this is a mask, and one could argue this is a stencil. Again, I look at how it is made and what the maker of this intended. Oh my, intended. And this here is a stencil because it's not floating in space; it is framed. This does not have a frame around it, so the maker intended this for it to be a mask. But when you get details like this, it just, as I said before, not sure it matters. All right. So let's pick a different one. Let's pick this one. All right. And since I'm going to focus on the stamen here of this flower. That's where one can argue that this was a mask because it blocks out the paint or the blocks out the image underneath, and you have paint in the negative space. So again, just I just don't know what to say. Some people, it's very controversial in my opinion. So make sure to comment below. Um, it'll be a nice little debate there. All right, we got some leftover imaging. That's okay. So, oh, isn't this a lovely one? These are just lovely as well. Let's play with these. On this purple one, I think I'm going to go with this one. Today we're using turquoise. It just seems like it's fitting with these colors. It's a good opaque paint. So this is what I've been using. I got it at Joann's when they were going out of sale. I mean, going out of business. And um, I don't pass up when paint's cheap, you know. So this was definitely discounted. And it's opaque. And I like turquoise. And let's do one more, but this time let's do a different color. And for this, I'm going to use the a real mask here. And what would happen if we layered a stencil on top of it? And I'm not really looking for, I'm just looking for the design, right? I'm looking for this design going through. So let's see what happens here. Move that brayer out of the way. So we are using a stencil and a mask. Now, what's going to make this work is getting enough paint through the stencil and the mask to create the effect. So that's why I'm taking extra amount of time to get all the nooks and crannies of this print here. Oh, we did a good job. All right. Let's see what we came up with. It could have been better, I guess. Well, not the perfect print that I was hoping for. It's too many lines with the lines in the background. It's hard to see the mask. So, if you don't like it, well, here's what we do. First of all, let's do a cleanup. This is a bonus print, if you ask me. Let's go ahead and do a clean off sheet. Looks like we need to do some more clean off. All right, let's do another clean off here. Let's just really let that sit instead of trying to rush it. There we go. Now our plate's, well, almost clean. We have that little spot right there, but that's okay. All right, let's try that print one more time. And let's go with a more solid background. We'll try this one. While this is not that bad, we're going to go with that. Ugh, we have a lot of paint on that. Let's put our mask in. This time I'm going to put him down in the middle. Let's try taking this stencil. Put that there. Then we're going to take our dark, it's almost solid. It's got some other colors in it. Take our solid and we're going to stick that here. And let's see what we get. And there we go. We have a new interesting little background. So, if you have backgrounds that you don't really like, play with your stencils in your mask. I think the effects will really surprise you. I was looking to see if I had any other ones because I thought I did. But I do not see them. Oh, here they are. Oh, wrong answer. I mean, you can actually do something with these now. Before, maybe not so much. This one was upside down. I thought this turned out really cool as well. Same and same. So when you're playing with your stencils in your mask, definitely think about, is it a mask or is it a stencil? And as you can see, there are some that are very obvious that are masks and some that are stencils, and that's all obvious. And then there's those stencils and masks that seem to cross over that make you question, is it a stencil or is it a mask? And with that, I hope you have a great day. And thank you for watching Ratchet Up Your Art.